Welcome to another episode of Grub Masters. I'm John, this is Carl, and today we're making Gabagool. Alright, so I'm pretty excited. Today is Gabagool Day. We've been doing this between Christmas and New Year's for probably the last 5 or 6 years. Our mentor and good friend Giovani showed us how to do this, and we really want to share it with you because this is just, it comes out amazing. It is a delayed gratification thing. You get these loins, you break them down, you have to wait a day, you season them up, net them up, hang them in a wine cellar, and then you have to wait 6 weeks and keep an eye on them, and then they're ready. And then they're even better when you stick them in some oil and let them go for almost a year. Then they're just amazing. So this is kind of, we're building towards a huge payoff. And we've got a ton of pork here. So Carl, just quickly, why don't you walk us through the process of how we break these down?
We're going to use pork loin. Back in the day, and a lot of people use pork butt or pork shoulder. We're going to be making sausage, so the trimmings that we're going to take off of this, we're going to use for the sausage, but this is very lean. Here at Grub Masters, we're heart healthy, obviously. Normally, our buddy Giovani, who is thrifty, he would take a third, and a third. And what John and I are going to do is we're going to take a sixth off of either end. We're going to use that meat, which is a little raggy and a little fatty, for our sausage. And we're going to take the a third and a third from the middle. We're going to trim off the fat and any loose flaps of meat, and that's what those jewels are what we're going to use for our
And that's actually where Giovanni will come in, and he'll kind of hit us right back and say that we've made jewels, and then he'll make fun of us for spending so much time on this. But we end up with one single muscle. It's super lean and just oh so tasty. And I don't mind the fat in there, but some people think it's a little off-putting. If you get Gabagool in the store, there's a lot of fat in it. It's fine. All right, we're going to show you how we break these down now.
See, that fat cap is coming off, getting right underneath. I'm not even having to deal with the silver skin at all on this because it's on the outside. Just keep following that vein of fat as I go around and keep spinning this. I can go back afterwards if I have some extra fat that's still left on it. This fat's going to be great on some bratwurst. So it's been about just about a half an hour. John and I powered through 14 of the pork loins. Got these nice jewels. We got 28 of these, 2 per loin. And all the trimmings are in these different bussing bins. Great thing to have when you're doing sausage making. We actually have some lower ones we'll show when we do it that fit underneath the grinder a little better. But these are great for putting our scraps and stuff in. You'll see that when we salt these, we'll put them in there. Some of the other stuff we wanted to show you was we've got full-size sheet pans and cutting boards that fit within the sheet pans. This is great for cutting down on the juices going everywhere and keeping it nice and clean. To work. Also, you notice that these are standard plastic folding tables, but they're a little higher up than you would expect them to be. They're not at the 29 inches. These are at 36 inches. I used some 1.5 inch PVC pipe, put some closet dowel on the inside of them, and elevated the height of the tables up to 36 inches. The other thing is, obviously, we're working in a garage. We could work in a kitchen, probably be a little cleaner. But the reality is here in New England, it's like having your own walk-in cooler. Move the wife's car out of the garage, and we're working in a garage that's at the temperature that a refrigerator would be at. So we can have our meat in here laid out without having to worry about any bacteria or anything, because we're basically working in a walk-in cooler.
All right, so we just did the math because we know that, there's a lot of math nerds out there. We had about 150 pounds of the pork loin, and we broke that down, and we ended up with 85 pounds of trimmings. Now, again, we purposely did that. None of that's going to waste. We're reserving it for our sausage that we're going to do on another day. So that's just going to go into the fridge till we're ready for it later this week. And what we end up with are these perfect little jewels of meat.
So we're going to get ready to salt these loins. Now we're going to use 1/3 cup of table salt, iodized table salt per loin. So remember, we're using each one of these is 1/3 of a loin. So we're going to use 1/3 of a cup for each loin, and we'll do that in a second. Once we salt those, we're going to take and put them in these bussing bins that we have racks on the bottom. Now we're going to use some parchment paper, the latest parchment paper on it, just to create a buffer between the salted meat and the metal rack. We don't want any problems with the metal rack reacting with the salt. I'm taking and poking a couple holes here. A lot of the juices, and you'll be amazed at how much juice in the next 24 to 36 hours that we're going to let these sit will come out of this meat, but we want to make sure it's not pooling up so much on the parchment paper. We're going to take and put a layer, we're going to space them out, and then we're going to put another layer of parchment and put another layer of these nice jewels once they're salted on top of that.
Those little jewels or gems of pork have been salted. They're in the busboy pans, and we lidded those up, and they'll sit there for 24 hours weeping liquid.